Good morning, my friends. As you can tell, we are not in my usual setup today, but I wanted to just throw up my camera really quick and film this for you because I got an email from Hermes yesterday that my Birkin is finally back from the spa after 14, 15 weeks at this point. I don't even know. I kind of lost track. It's been so long. Long story short, if you have no idea what's going on, my Birkin was away at the spa being repaired. It was supposed to take 8 weeks, but it's taken a lot longer than expected. If you'd like to catch up on all the details and what happened exactly, I will make sure to have my last Hermes vlog linked up here for you. What matters is that it's finally back and hopefully it will be looking brand new. Now, the reason I am so rushed is because it is supposed to start raining, well, pouring frankly, in the next hour, and I want to get my Birkin beforehand. I want to bike to Hermes really quick, grab the bag and get home, hopefully in one piece and all dry. So I just wanted to throw up my camera and film this for you before we head out. I don't think there's going to be much newness at Hermes since I was there last week, but of course, if I see something and I have the time, I will take some little clips for us. Another reason you're so far away from me is because I had a little bit too much sugar this past weekend. I usually don't eat sugar, but I had such a tough week, well, 2 weeks of training that I thought I would treat myself to a slice of cake. I never really crave cakes, but there is this one bakery in Amsterdam. I think they're known for their cupcakes. It's more of an American style bakery and I love their red velvet. So I thought I would get myself a slice and I am definitely paying for it. I also had a boba on Friday. So I had a boba on Friday, then I had a slice of red velvet and my skin is freaking out. I cannot tell you how inflamed I've been for the past few days, not weeks, for the past few days, which is probably why you're only getting one video from me this week, and then hopefully I'll be able to make up for it next week or the week after. I've not been resting. I've been working on a new brand deep dive for you, a brand that a lot of you have been asking about, and it's not one that I would have ever considered dedicating an entire video to, but so many of you have been comparing this brand to Hermes that I thought, let me share what I have to say, because it's actually a brand that I've known of for years and years and years. And it's a brand near and dear to my heart, but we'll talk about all of that when it comes to that brand deep dive, hopefully coming up next week or in the next couple of weeks. I should really stop rambling. I'll have to move, which is going to make Pi really upset because he's currently napping on my feet. He's one of those needy babies who always needs to be touching me. So I'm going to have to move, which he's not going to be happy with, but it is what it is. Honestly, for real, let me stop rambling, get to Hermes, grab that bag so we can look at it up close and personal, and maybe I'll give you a little update on my Hermes wish list. In case you were wondering, both my bag and I made it home nice and dry from Hermes the other day. It's actually a couple of days later now, but I wanted to give you a quick update on my bag and also on my potential Hermes wish list, and just give you a quick update on my Hermes journey, if that's even still a thing in 2025. But let me start with my bag, which is back from the spa, and I have to say they did a phenomenal job as expected. It's really insane what magicians Hermes craftspeople are. They can really bring a bag back to life. Not that my bag needed that much work, but still, when I picked it up, it looked virtually brand new, at least when it comes to the leather, because the shape is something I have to tell you something about, but the leather looked beautiful. It looked incredibly rich and deep. I feel like the Togo leather that this bag is made of has been revived. It had a beautiful fresh sheen to it. Not an artificial sheen, but that very sheen that Togo leather has when you first buy that bag, or when you first buy a bag in that leather. And of course, they got rid of every single white spot. Now, thankfully, I did not have to pay for this service, but if you're wondering, this cleaning service on a bag of this size and this caliber would have cost me, I think they said that it would have cost 305 euros to have this bag cleaned, but because of these white stains, which are kind of an unusual sign of wear, it is something that they did free of charge, which is of course is something that I'm really grateful for. They did a phenomenal job. As I said, the leather looks fresh and brand new. However, something that was quite confronting and something that I was quite disappointed in is that they did not stuff the bag properly. It did have some of those air pillows inside when I got it back, but it's crazy how much this bag collapsed in a matter of a month. I mean, I would think that Hermes knows how to ship their bags because of course it had to be shipped to France and then it had to come back. So I assume that if anyone, Hermes should know how their bags need to be shipped. Sorry guys, Bai is sleeping right next to me, so you might hear him snore. But what was I saying? The shape, right? I was really shocked how collapsed and lived in it looked. It had this weird dent that I had never seen before, and it really made me realize how much a good insert is able to do for your bag. Just giving your bag a little bit of support from the inside out when it comes to a return bag can make a world of a difference. I have had a 7RP insert in this bag since the day I got it. I actually got an insert before I got this bag, and I do still have, I don't think I've talked about this in a while, but I'm pretty sure I still have an active discount code with 7RP, which I can make sure to leave up on the screen here. Their inserts really are the best. I call them the Rolls Royce of bag inserts because they are insanely expensive, but they do a phenomenal job, especially when it comes to supporting your bags from the inside out. They don't restructure your bags. They don't force them into a weird shape. They just really give them that little extra support that they need, and it's shocking and extremely confronting to see how much of a difference it makes when it comes to the overall beauty of the bag. Like a Togo return bag, which is something that will start losing its shape quite quickly because it's a heavy leather that has the tendency to collapse in on itself over time. Giving it just that little bit of support keeps your bag looking a lot more fresh and a lot more just new, not to mention that 7RP inserts also feel incredibly luxurious. So it's not like you're spending $15,000 on a bag and then on the inside it feels like something that you could have bought from H&M. It really enhances the user experience. It helps you organize your bags, but most importantly, something that I noticed when it came to this bag is that just little bit of support that it's able to give a return bag is something that should not be underestimated. I'll make sure to leave my discount code up on the screen here, and I think I'm going to put an ad disclaimer in the info box, not because this video is sponsored in any shape or form. 7RP has no idea that I'm going to be talking about them today, but I do have a working relationship with the brand. As you know, I have been working with 7RP in different capacities for years, so I want to be extremely upfront. This is not sponsored, but I do have a relationship with them. But I was a paying customer way before I ever started working with them or before I ever started my YouTube. I got my very first Birkin was a Birkin 40, and I'm pretty sure I got an insert for that as soon as I got that bag, and the same goes for my Birkin 35s too. So this bag had an insert in it since the day I brought it home, and I really saw firsthand how much of a difference it's been able to make. But I'm incredibly happy to have this bag back and that they were able to get rid of all those little white dots. So if you have a bag in your collection that you feel is looking a little aged and needs a little bit of a facelift, definitely start with an insert. And if you feel like the leather also could use a little bit of love and attention, don't forget about the Hermes SPA. You do not need a proof of purchase. It doesn't matter where you got your bag from. As long as it's an authentic bag, you can take it to Hermes and they should be able to send it to the spa for repair, and they can pretty much repair anything and everything on your bag except its structure. That's not something that they're able to work on and fix, and they will not do anything with the lining, because if they had to change the lining, they essentially have to take your bag completely apart and put it back together, and at that point, you know, you might as well just buy a new bag. But those are two things that a good insert can support you with. So that's it when it comes to my bag. But yeah, the spa is really just phenomenal. Now let's talk about my wish list. Do I currently have a wish list with Hermes? Because as you know, I have not been shopping as I did in the past. I do think that my Hermes collection is pretty complete. I feel like I have all the sizes, all the shapes, all the colors, all the leathers that I have ever wanted. But it is my 30th birthday coming up. So if I was offered something incredibly special, I don't think I would turn it down, not necessarily because it would be a bag that I could use on a regular basis, but just as a little collector in me. There are a couple of things that I still love the look and the idea of, but it would have to be a really special piece for me to actually swipe my credit card for, which are the pieces that I wanted to tell you about today. Pieces that have caught my attention, and I'm not saying that I'm proactively hunting for these, but I just do love the look of them, and if by some miracle I was offered one of these bags, I know that I would definitely jump on them. And let's actually start with a bag that I'm kind of torn on. It's not that special of a bag, meaning that it's not a quota bag, but it is the newest iteration of one of my most favorite, most used Hermes bags, which is of course my Herbag 39. That is one of the only Hermes bags that I use still on a regular basis. I would say that's a bag that I've had in my collection since, so before my 39, I had a 31, which did not really work for me. I did not enjoy the proportions of that bag, even though I loved the look, the shape, what it added to my collection. The size 31 did not work for me just because of my height and my shape. I do think that if you're a little bit more petite and a little bit more narrow shouldered, it's a bag that you would really enjoy. Personally, on me, it did not work. So then I got my 39, which I've been loving since, I think I got that bag in 2017. And it's one of those pieces that I have used consistently for the past however many years that's been. But they have been obviously playing around with that shape. The Herbag is quite a popular design, so they recently launched a messenger bag take on it, which is slightly more elongated for men. They've done, of course, duffel bags. There are a ton of different iterations of that bag at this point, but most recently they launched a mini Herbag, which I think measures 20 or 21 centimeters. I think it is 20 centimeters, and it is a new take on the Herbag. Now, the Herbag I do have a dedicated review on, so if you'd like to find out everything that there is to know about that bag, the pros, the cons, how to use it, how to style it, the pricing, how to open it, because fastening the bag, opening and closing it is something that a lot of people struggle with, and I share with you a ton of tips in that video. I will make sure to have that linked up here for you. But they recently launched a mini take on the Herbag, which shares that same canvas body, the leather flap, the same closing mechanism, but the mini Herbag does not have a top handle and it features a shorter strap. And that is something that slightly scares me. I wonder if the strap would be just a little bit too short for me. It's a bag that I wasn't necessarily offered. I would not use the word offered. I was asked about when it first launched. I think I took a picture of that bag. They had one on display and they asked me if I would be interested in that bag when it comes off of being a display piece. And I'm pretty sure, well, I know that I said no because it was in a weird charcoaly gray color. I think it starts with an A, that color. So I knew that that wasn't something that I was interested in. And then most of the mini Herbags that I saw afterwards were in the Viking H canvas, which I'm not a big fan of. That is a newer canvas from Hermes that has almost like a checkered print to it, like the way it's woven. It has this very slight pattern to it, which I don't love. I much prefer the original military canvas, which is what my Herbag is made of and what the original Herbags were made of. And they're very much out there, but there was a point in time when I kept seeing the Viking H canvas, but I much preferred the military canvas. And to be honest, I'm not sure what color I would get this bag in. Of course, it comes in all the different colors that the original Herbag came in. I would most likely go for black on black, or maybe gold on the natural toile finish. That's another color that I could see myself getting it in, but I would have to try it. If you have any experience with the Herbag, please let me know your thoughts. I have been looking for a smaller everyday bag, something that I could just throw my phone, my wallet, maybe a water bottle in, my keys, my AirPods, and I could just run out the door. I bought the banana bag, not last year, but the year before from the row with the same sort of idea, and that was just a little bit too small for me. That's still a bag that I have in my collection. I only used it a handful of times, so it's something that I should probably rehome because it's just been sitting in its dust bag, but it's just a tiny bit too small for me, the banana bag. So I would like to replace that with something else, and I'm thinking that the her bag might just be it. I did not ask for it. I probably should have when I was at Hermes, but I'm torn. But that's something that I would be open to. If you have any experience with the her bag and if you think that it's something I was able to make work, please let me know in the comment section. I would love to hear your feedback on that. But with that out of the way, let's move on to some more, how do I put this? Because it's not like any Hermes bag is easy to come by at this point, not even a her bag mini, but these upcoming bags are some of the toughest bags to get your hands on because they are the rarest, most in-demand pieces out there, starting with a Birkin Sellier. That is something that I wasn't a big fan of at first, but now that I know that it's most likely going to be discontinued in the next year, I'm like, this is kind of my chance to get my hands on one. Now, the Birkin Sellier initially launched in size 20, which I really loved the sound and the look of a size 20 Birkin, but I know it's not something that I would be able to carry on a regular basis. So then I thought, how about a Birkin Sellier in size 25? That is something that I feel like could be the crown jewel of my collection, especially if it was in a unique finish like lizard, because the Birkin Sellier in size 25 and also in size 20 is offered in lizard and alligator, as well as regular leather at this point. But it is a bag that I would have a very hard time styling. The only way I would be able to carry it is like a little pochette, so I would probably have to grab it under my arm and just carry it pretty much as a clutch bag, which is just really not something that suits my lifestyle. Yes, it sounds really glamorous to see people with a Birkin under their arm being carried as a clutch bag, seeing it in pictures and in videos. Yes, it is incredibly enticing and it just looks so fashion forward and so chic, but it's really not something that is very practical at the end of the day, and it's not something that suits my lifestyle. And I really try not to buy pieces that are over glamorized but in reality don't suit me. That's the only way I can even carry the Birkin Rock or a Birkin 25, and a Birkin Sellier feels even more structured and even more proper and pretty. So while I love the look of it, it's probably not something that I would have an easy time styling. Maybe if I was going to an event, maybe if I was going to a fashion show, which pretty much never happens, I could use it in those instances, but as a daily bag, it's certainly not something that I would be able to take advantage of, but I love the look of it. Now, there is another similar bag, which again is not something that I would be able to carry on a regular basis, which at this point, when it comes to these bags that are so insanely expensive, the only way I can justify spending so much money on a piece is if I know that I'm going to be able to use it on a regular basis. Right, my baby? We are trying to be very conscious consumers and we are trying to make good purchases. Right? But if there's ever been a true collector's piece, one of the most eye-catching, jaw-dropping Hermes creations, it is the Mini Kellys in the color Dore, which launched in 2024 in celebration of the Faubourg Boutique's 100-year anniversary. So it was a really festive take on the Mini Kelly. And then for 2025, we are getting the sibling of the Dore color, which I believe is called Argente, and it is in the very same metallic family, but instead of it being rose gold, it is silver, which is of course a combination that we've seen from Hermes before, which was inspired by a window display piece, a Christmas window display piece that was around many, many years ago. It was an extremely limited run, but Birkins and Kellys had been around in both silver and gold in the past. But this year we are getting a new take on this Argent silver color, which is going to be available in a Mini Kelly, in a Mini Constance, so a Constance 18, and I believe also a Kelly wallet. Now, this Dore color initially was supposed to be limited, but it is still very much around, and it's not only around in a Mini Kelly and a Constance. In abundance, to be really honest, because I keep seeing these bags popping up at auctions and even on the secondary market. I think there is a site that has a ton of them at this point, which I can make sure to link down below for you. So I think it's going to be the same with Argent. But what I was going to say that it's not only bags that are available in Dore at this point, but they're also doing accessories, they're also doing shoes, and leather jewelry. So if it's a color that you love the look of, but you don't feel like spending a fortune on a bag, or if it's not something that you personally have access to, but it's a color that you would like to add to your collection, there are many, many ways of doing it. And I have a suspicion it's going to be the same when it comes to this new Argent color. And they're both in goat skin. They're exclusively available in goat skin. And it's a special goat skin, which I think is called Cam Light, something along those lines, which is a new take on chevre that's exclusively available in a metallic finish. On the complete opposite end of the spectrum, something that is a lot more subdued but equally special is the return of the Toile Birkin, a natural Toile Birkin with swift edges and swift accents in the color gold, which is inspired by a vintage shape, a vintage Birkin design from Hermes, which was previously available, but instead of it featuring swift accents, it was actually available with Bavaria accents, I think in the color Fauve, which was incredibly special. And I was shocked how beautiful this bag looked in size 25 when I was at the store last time. It's a bag that I showed in my last Hermes vlog, and I was blown away by its really simple and subdued beauty. Now, what it reminded me of is that the Birkin Cargo is back again for this season in 2 new colors. It's not only going to be available in this very same color combination, with the body of the bag being in a natural toile and gold trims. And when I say gold, I don't refer to the color Dore, but Hermes's iconic natural shade of gold, which is basically like a camel, a soft camel or warm caramel color. So it's going to be available with a natural toile body with caramel accents. It was previously available in gold, where the entire body of the bag was made of gold canvas with gold trims. This time you'll get it in a natural finish, and it's also going to be available in a light gray. I was never a big fan of the Cargo Birkin, but I have to be honest, that natural toile fabric with the gold trims is really, really quite beautiful. But if I had to choose one, I would probably opt for the plain Birkin in toile with gold swift accents. And last but not least, again, going back to the jaw-dropping, the one bag that is truly reserved for the Hermes VIP. It's a bag that first launched a couple of years ago, but it's still around, definitely in extremely limited quantities. And that's because this bag features solid gold, solid precious gold details. And it's no other than the Kelly Midas bags, which at first glance might not look that different from just a regular Kelly Sellier in box leather or Porosus croc, because it's a bag that's exclusively available in the color black in size 25 in either box leather or in black lisse, so shiny Porosus croc. But when you have a closer look at these bags, you might notice that the hardware looks just a little bit more shiny, a little bit more substantial, and a little bit more opulent. And that is because the hardware is actually made of solid 18 karat yellow gold, and so is a part of the handle. It looks as if the handle was dipped in gold, and it probably was. It wasn't only just dipped, but a part of the handle is actually crafted from solid, heavy 18 karat yellow gold, and it is a true show-stopping piece. Now, it's not a bag that I really want to be offered at this point because it's not something that I could justify buying. The price is probably close to $100,000. If not even more than that, but it is truly a show-stopping creation. So we're talking about pieces that I would have a very, very hard time resisting. This would certainly be one of them. I don't even want to think about how expensive this bag would be in Porosus croc, because of course Porosus croc is one of the most expensive crocs that you can buy from Hermes. So imagine a Porosus croc bag in a Sellier structure in lisse, which is already expensive to begin with. But then on top of all that, we have these solid 18 karat yellow gold details, which make it that much more expensive. But it is genuinely one of the most beautiful bags I have ever seen. And again, they very much rely on the beauty of a Kelly bag and its exquisite craftsmanship. It just has these added details that make it somehow feel, even without knowing that it's made of solid yellow gold, because I had no idea when I first saw these bags in a lookbook, without even knowing for a fact that some details will be made of solid gold, I could tell that these bags were not made for the Hermes novice. There was something just incredibly exquisite, opulent, and just delicious about these bags, and I still think that's the case. The price is a different story, but today we are here to talk about some of the most beautiful bags that I've seen from Hermes in the recent past, and that is pretty much it. These are the bags that live in my head rent-free at this point. Again, it's not something that I am proactively hunting for, definitely not the solid gold bags, but really any one of them. But if I was offered one of these, I think I would have a hard time declining them, just because, of course, I've had this long love affair with Hermes, but it's really not something that I'm holding my breath for in any shape or form. But I thought that if anyone, you would appreciate seeing and hearing about these bags. But I would love to know what Hermes bags you're currently thinking about, whether you're thinking about buying them or you just appreciate them for what they are. As I am, I would love to hear from you in the comment section, and I really hope you enjoyed this video. I definitely appreciate you being here and watching, and if you'd like to see more videos from me, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't done so yet, and I'll see you back here with a new video really soon.